Let's see. Let me make sure the stream is up and right first. As always. Let's see. Let me make sure the stream is up and right. Let's check the sound real quick.
Since the mansion incident, as she's worried that maybe she's got some delayed symptoms of the T-virus. She's been busy whilst on lockdown though, investigating Umbrella and their ties to the RPD, their control of the entire city, along with the corruption of Chief Irons, and her own observations when it came to the T-virus. She realized that at some point, someone from Umbrella would likely come to kill her, so to avoid that fate, she planned to move out at night in order to try and hold her. She's been busy whilst on lockdown though, investigating.
Sounds going. All right. I do gotta skip a little of this first part because the song will get me.
She hears the phone ringing and it's Brad Vickers, who sounds extremely frantic, telling Jill that she needs to get out of her apartment right now. Agreeing to leave, something bursts through the wall of her apartment, launching her backwards.
Fuck it, I have to do it. It's too important.
Along with the corruption of Chief Irons and their delayed symptoms, the common occurrence ever since the mansion incident.
All right, Resident Evil lore part 2. From the mansion to Raccoon City outbreak now. Now we're going deeper. I'll be honest, after part 1, basically got my cherry popped. I'm just shocked by the sheer depth of this lore. And it's so engrossing, so immersing, and so goddamn creepy. I've been genuinely terrified to play this new Requiem in 4 days. So tonight we're gonna see how Umbrella Corp's trying to destroy the world. If you're a longtime fan, I get it. I get how awesome it is. It makes sense. I'm officially hooked, even though I'm scared. Just don't expect me to keep it together because I'm gonna be breaking down. I'm already been creeped out. So I'm doing this a little bit more in the daytime because last time I did it at night and it freaked me the F out. All right, so we're starting. Basically, Jill's been waking up with nightmares and effects from the mansion, and let's go.
As she's worried that maybe she's got some delayed symptoms of the T-virus. She's been busy whilst on lockdown though,
she got some
investigating
delayed
Umbrella and their
symptoms.
ties to the RPD, their control of the entire city, along with the corruption of Chief Irons, and her own observations when it came to the T-virus. She realized that at some point, someone from Umbrella would likely...
I wonder if I can lower the music part. Or is that baked in? Just baked in.
come to kill her, so to avoid that fate, she planned to move out at night in order to try and hold Umbrella to account for what they've done. She hears the phone ringing and it's Brad Vickers, who sounds extremely frantic, telling Jill that she needs to get out of her apartment right now. Agreeing to leave, something bursts through the wall of her apartment, launching her backwards. This thing is massive and obviously intends to do her harm. Firing on it, it launches her out of the door of her apartment and into the hall, where she's eventually able to escape this dangerous game of cat and mouse. On the street, things are going to hell, and she meets up with Brad, who tells her that thing seems to be after the only two STARS members left in Raccoon City, which of course is the two of them. Following him down the street, Jill sees that the situation in the city is really bad. People who have succumbed to the T-virus burst through a fence, and Jill and Brad take refuge in a bar, where Brad attempts to hold the infected off, but
he got bit. It's over.
He demands Jill leave him, as he knows what this means for him, so she reluctantly leaves him there. Obtaining a weapon from a deceased police officer, Jill hears from a chopper overhead to get to a nearby parking garage for pickup. On the way and heading through a warehouse, she finds a terrified man inside who introduces himself as Dario Rosso. He's refusing to leave and locks himself inside a storage container.
He's gonna
lock. No other option than to leave him there. Jill is confronted and attacked by zombies, but she's able to get to the parking garage's roof. The chopper waiting there for her is attacked and destroyed by the monster that's hunting her. Getting into a nearby car, she accelerates towards the monster and drives into it, launching both of them off the top level of the car park and onto the street below. This leaves Jill in bad shape, and she is cornered by the beast with it seemingly over for her.
And it's completely fine.
By someone, a member of the UBCS, called Carlos, who brings the beast down with a rocket launcher. Helping her up, they both move into the metro station, where Jill discovers that Carlos works for Umbrella, leading to her blaming them for causing all this mess, but this leaves Carlos confused, since as far as he's concerned, they were sent there for riot control. Carlos introduces her to the UBCS squad leader Mikhail Victor, who is
These
on a
guys have
subway
no
train
idea what's
with a
going
bunch
on.
of survivors on the neighboring.
It's not their
He
fault.
immediately knows who she is, an elite member of STARS. He says that his team was sent there to rescue civilians, but the city is completely cut off and isolated, with most of the civilians in the city wiped out by the T-virus, killed by the zombies, or just by the chaos in the city. His platoon has suffered
City's
catastrophic
already
losses,
fucked.
but Jill is unsympathetic, as he and his platoon are working for Umbrella. He brushes this off and says that if they can get the subway train moving, they can evacuate the survivors. He asks Jill for her help, and she begrudgingly agrees to team up with UBCS, but only for the survivors.
She got
and to
no
help get the
choice.
train moving. Grabbing
She
some
just
gear,
don't
Jill
trust
ventures out
Umbrella.
onto the streets, which are now
You
populated
shouldn't.
entirely by the undead. Moving through them, and after
Oh.
finding a fire hose to put out a fire blocking her path forward, she makes it into a garage and hears a commotion behind a door. Using bolt cutters to gain access, she finds a member of the UBCS there called Murphy, who is badly wounded. Murphy says that he's not infected, but another UBCS member shows up
Oh.
and shoots Murphy in the head. Jill is shocked and asks why the man did it, and he responds that he could have been infected and that he didn't want to take the chance. With an air
Damn.
of arrogance about him, the UBCS agent asks Jill where her sense of
he's evil.
self-preservation is and tells her to go back to the subway station, calling her a bleeding heart. Looking at Murphy's
And I just mean that
journal,
by the way
it
he
appears
looks.
that Umbrella were recruiting former soldiers, just like Murphy himself, who was in prison because he'd murdered 20 gangsters as revenge for them having gunned down his brother. He was
Well.
recruited into the UBCS. During his training, he had suspicion about someone called Nikolai, assumed to be the man who shot him, referring to him as a lunatic, and it seems the two trained together upon joining the UBCS.
I see.
Outside this building,
This
Jill
dude
finds
holds
another dead
grudges.
UBCS member, and he's left a note stating that the squadron
Not
he
that the
was with,
gangbangers was
30
bad.
heavily armed
They killed
men,
his brother.
were wiped out in less than 48 hours. Moving on to the power plant,
Damn.
Jill sees it's engulfed by some sort of nest. Outside, she finds a lockpick next to the bloated corpse of someone, and a load
Oh.
of insects burst out from his body. She also finds a note
Man,
from
I
a
don't want
worker
to
there
touch
at the
anyone
plant
else.
stating that an insect
anything.
forced something down his throat, and recalling something that his grandmother told him. He used a green herb which are native to the Arklay Mountains, and this forced a parasite that was inside of him out. A good job
This
she
is
read
more-
this, as when Jill
No.
attempts to enter the power plant, the same thing happens to her.
No.
And upon consuming a herb, her body ejects the parasite. With no other option than to enter the infested plant to get the
Dude.
power back on, Jill manages it, turning the power
I would think I'm completely cooked at this point. I would think I'm completely cooked, even if I spit it back out from the herb. Oh, I'm being surrounded by all this.
back on at the terminal, and this fries the nest. The creatures here are what are infected parasites that had come about after insects had drunk T-virus infected blood. They were initially the size of
Oh.
fleas, but they grew to quite a large size as a result. Anyway, Jill now needs to redirect the train lines at the train company's office nearby, but on
Bruh.
the way to it, she is once again confronted by the large BOW.
Dude, this
that
dude
was
does not
pursuing her.
stop.
Temporarily incapacitating it or just running for her life, Jill warns Carlos
Just
over
run
the
for your
radio that
fucking life.
BOW is still alive and that despite the threat, she will head to switch the tracks. She is constantly hunted by the creature, but she's able to make it to the depot and
Girl,
switches the
you gotta
tracks so that
run.
the subway train with the survivors can get out of there. Leaving, she sees a strange mutation, as a zombie's head has a casing around it and
Oh.
uses a long tendril to whip at Jill. Putting this mutation down, she sees what's causing this. It's the large BOW. It's implanting
What's that thing called? I forget what it's called.
some sort of parasite into the T-virus riddled zombies.
He's just making
causing them
those?
to mutate. Making it
Gaze
back
him
to the
up.
subway station, she meets up with Carlos, and the UBCS agent she'd met before,
Carlos wants to
Nikolai,
hit.
shows up, and he clearly doesn't like the fact that Jill is still there, despite her helping them get the subway train moving. Attention turns to the BOW, which is now bashing its way into the subway station. So Jill decides to buy the survivors some time by leading the creature away, since it's her it's after. This little detour leads to Jill ending up in the
Jeez, she's
sewers beneath
fucking
the city.
wild.
Trying to find a way out, it appears that an Umbrella researcher had been doing experiments
Oh my
here
God.
as well as early as June
Oh my
1998,
God, no.
after a Dr. Logan Carlisle
Wow.
smuggled a bunch of Umbrella's Hunter Gamma specimens from the lab after they shut down research.
That thing gonna eat you.
Carlisle had been
That thing looks like it swallow you whole. This girl is wild as hell. Not only she knows it's after him. The dude with the gray hair is a psychopath. You can see it in his eyes. You need psychopaths when shit is going down though, but he's volatile. But she puts a wall between them, drops the gate, and leads. What is that thing called? The giant dude, to keep hunting her, to get them away. So what if it says? What the fuck? Hunter gammas.
These creatures and had developed a fatherly love for them. He'd seen them in action and wanted to report progress back to Umbrella's European
Susceptible
branch.
to heat.
Taking out what's left of Carlisle's hunter gammas, Jill finds her way out via a ladder.
Boom,
At the top, though, she's grabbed by the BOW, which is now armed with a flamethrower, and Jill is once again pursued, this time into a tall building.
And it's got a
Climbing to the top as
flamethrower.
the BOW is torching it, she faces off against the creature, eventually managing to bring it down. Leaping to
They should
escape
brought
the
it down
building
every
before it's
time. It
completely
hasn't
engulfed
died.
in flames, Jill jumps off the side of it, and luckily she's able to soften her landing, although it's still a fairly painful one. Getting in contact with Carlos again, she says that the creature has been dealt with now, and she's heading back to the station. She
Maybe.
visits a gun shop nearby, which is run by her friend Kendo, who also designed and made Jill's and the rest of Star's Samurai Edge handguns. Jill tells him about the subway train with survivors.
Samurai Edge handguns. His name is Kendo?
But he rejects the offer of a ride out of town, saying that he's making his own arrangements. He seems to be very concerned about something in his garage out back, and Jill leaves, telling him to make sure he makes it, as he's the best gunsmith around. She cuts through some houses, encountering more of the mutated zombies, and is chased by the still alive BOW,
That what
which
I
is now
tell you.
equipped with a missile launcher. Seeing
Then
Carlos,
they
she
just keep
follows into
giving
an
him more
alternate entrance to the
weapons.
subway station, and Carlos takes the beast down by firing on an oil tanker and creating a huge explosion.
None of this takes
Jill
it down.
boards the
Quit
train
saying you've
whilst
taken it
Carl
down.
tells Tyrell, who is one of the UBCS's monitors, operatives that gather data, and Carlos that they need to track someone down, a Dr. Nathaniel Bard. The train leaves Redstone Street Station, and en route to Fox Park, Jill hears Mikhail and Nikolai talking. She looks at him, fully evident that she doesn't trust Nikolai one bit. Mikhail looks up at him and questions him as to how a bunch of zombies managed to get the jump on an entire platoon.
If I was, man, you just lose trust in everybody. This story is even faster than the last one, though.
Especially since
The tension is way higher. It's more like a survival horror. Makes it feel like kind of like Tomb Raider when everything goes to shit right in the beginning. This feels a lot like that.
the gate was locked, implying that he thinks it was Nikolai who betrayed his unit. There's then an explosion on the train. Nikolai slowly makes his retreat, whilst Mikhail and Jill try to see what it was. It's
What'd
the
I tell you?
BOW again, still not dead. Jill wants to take it down, but Mikhail stops her, telling her they need to move. But Nikolai locks them both in that train car with the creature, saying that he knows it's not after him. Mikhail tries to shoot the beast, but is grabbed by it. With a block of C4 under his arm, he detonates it, killing himself and hopefully the BOW too.
No,
The train
still
veers
not.
off the track and crashes, with Jill passing out. Meanwhile, Carlos and Tyrell have made it to the Raccoon Police Department as they hope Bard will be there. Approaching the front entrance, they hear a commotion.
Oh, do you play as Tyrell
or
or
in the
you?
process of turning?
You play
still
as
has some
the
coherence, much to the
Carlos.
surprise of the officer there, who is Marvin Branner, who tells Brad to stop. Marvin is then attacked and bitten by
No,
Brad.
I want to
afterwards
bit
running
him in the
inside station.
guts.
Tyrell tries to get the main door open, whilst Carlos engages Brad and takes him down, finding out from his security card that he has stars. Inside the station,
Dang,
Tyrell says that
her
Bard
boy
should be in
Brad
the
is
Stars
done.
office on the first floor. Tyrell says that Bard has access to Umbrella's darkest secrets, so this rescue mission is more of a capture and detain one due to what Bard knows. It's clear when moving through the station that the situation here is
Oh
pretty
my
fluid
gosh.
too, as Carlos witnesses two officers getting torn apart by something there. As mentioned earlier, the station was a refuge
Black.
for survivors until the
These
inevitable
things take
happened when an
headshots like a
outbreak
beast.
occurred. And from an email that Carlos can find, someone named Lucy Yen had disposed of any and all files in relation to you, Umbrella. Lucy Yen had requested evacuation, but none came, so she threatened to expose Umbrella's collusion with Raccoon City's civic leaders such as Mayor Warren and Chief Irons. Anyway, Carlos is able to find his way to the Stars office and is attacked by another
brainchild.
mutation called a liquor.
That's a
Blind,
liquor.
very aggressive. Upon entering the office, he makes contact with Nathaniel Bard, who is relieved to have gotten in touch with someone. He says that he's trapped in a hospital surrounded by abominations. He tells Carlos to send stars, but he replies that it's not possible.
There
as the
ain't no
police
more
department
stars,
is now
homie.
overrun. Bard gets a
What
little
you
bit
gonna do?
shirty, telling Carlos to figure it out, and that Umbrella have gone a little bit mental, killing all the researchers, and he fears that he is next. He claims that he's the one that knows how to make a vaccine in order to stop the zombies.
Yo.
He hangs up,
Okay,
and Carlos tells
we gotta
Tyrell
get
they
him.
can't just hand him over to Umbrella if they just intend to kill him. Tyrell responds by saying that's Mikhail's call and not theirs. So whilst all this has been happening, Jill had
Mikhail?
regained consciousness and she found herself at St. Michael's clock tower. Hearing a roar
smoked.
coming from underground, she saw that BOW hunting her emerged from it and had jumped into the river whilst on fire. Jill
Damn.
got radio signal back again, so she contacts Carlos to tell him what happened.
But isn't it
Nikolai
actually
betrayed them and
hurt?
Mikhail is dead. However, she starts to break up. At that point, though, Jill stops responding to him as the creature, now
Oh.
mutated, leaps out of the water and she has to run in order
Oh,
to
he's
escape.
so much
Tyrell
bigger.
tells Carlos to go and help Jill and says that he'll handle Bard. Jill faces off against the creature again. Using some newly acquired mine rounds, she uses these to gain the upper hand and dumps some firepower into its
On
exposed
its heart?
parasite. Eventually, she's
Oh.
able to defeat the beast again. But quite predictably, as she's not done the whole double tap thing, the creature grabs her while
What
she's
the
walking
fuck?
away. She
Aren't
shoots
you
the
guys
gate that
over
comes
this?
down on the creature's arm, but it shoots a barb into her arm and she collapses, struggling to breathe as the infection takes hold.
Oh
Nikolai
no.
appears, grinning, saying that Jill has done him a big favor. Jill passes out, being found half a day later in the early evening by Carlos, who embarks on quite the journey in getting Jill to the Spencer Memorial Hospital.
She's been infected too now. Poor Jill now.
That same evening, on the 29th of October, rookie
This
cop
is
Leon
different
Scott
game?
Kennedy is on his way to Raccoon
Oh, so that
City,
was
as he's
3.
recently been assigned
The
as a
start
police
of it. This
officer.
is 2.
Leon had
These
specifically
stories are
requested to
happening
be assigned there as he was
concurrently.
very intrigued by the mysterious
Hold on, hold on,
murders
hold
in
on.
the Arkley for duty.
And this is Leon.
That same evening, on the 29th of October, rookie cop Leon Scott Kennedy is on his way to Raccoon City.
Rookie
as he's
cop?
recently been assigned as a police officer there. Leon had specifically requested to be assigned there as he was very intrigued by the mysterious murders in the Arkley Mountains. He'd actually received a message from the RPD telling him things in the city
You
had
requested
become very
this?
bad and not to report for duty.
This is on
but
you,
Leon,
homie.
being Leon, decided to go there anyway. He needs gas, so he makes the decision to stop at a gas station just outside the city itself.
Look how young he
There, and
looks.
after filling up his vehicle, he enters the store and wonders where everyone is. He finds a trail of blood leading inside, and the lights are off, and a bloodied, injured employee is pointing to the back corridor. Leon hears a commotion and finds an officer there, struggling with a violent man in the storeroom. He says he can handle it, but this isn't true, as the man, a zombie, overpowers him, taking a large bite out of the cop's neck, killing him. Leon draws his weapon, telling the crazy guy to calm down, but he has to take him down. Escaping the store, Leon opens the door and a woman is stood there. Leon shouts at her to get down and he shoots a zombie behind her, saving her life.
Saved
the two
her
then
ass.
jump into the cop car and head into Raccoon City, as Leon says that
Keep
maybe
pulling.
they can get some
Keep
answers
pulling.
as to what has happened over at the police station. The woman introduces herself as Claire Redfield and says that she's looking for her brother, as he's also a cop.
Oh.
She's the sister
Chris.
of STARS member, Chris. Arriving and driving through
It's
the now
Chris's
deserted
sister.
streets of the city, they find themselves stuck at a roadblock, and Leon says they have to walk the rest of the way. Claire looks out of the window to see a zombie eating a corpse. Their vehicle is then overwhelmed by zombies pretty quickly. and
Just
they get
reverse.
slightly panicked as an out-of-control truck, whose driver had earlier been attacked and bitten
Fucking
by a
hell.
zombie, is hurtling towards them at speed. Unable to get out of the vehicle in time, it smashes into the police car,
Fucking
coming to a
hell.
stop on its side. Oil leaks from the police car as Leon manages to get out of it, and it explodes, as well as the oil tanker, leading to Leon being concerned that Claire may have died. But she hasn't, as she's on the other side of the flames, telling Leon that she'll find another way to the station and will meet him there. Making his way down the zombie-infested streets, Leon comes to the RPD. Its neon-lit sign a welcome
Now we're
sight
going
for
back.
anyone seeking refuge. But on
going
entering,
back.
it's not such a welcoming place. Store, get out of the vehicle in time, it smashes.
And we're
The
back.
police car, coming to a stop on its side. Oil leaks from the police car as Leon manages to get out of it, and it explodes, as well as the oil tanker, leading to Leon being concerned that Claire may have died. But she hasn't, as she's on the other side of the flames, telling Leon that she'll find another way to the station and will meet him there. Making his way down the zombie-infested streets, Leon comes to the RPD.
Dude, everyone
Its
gets
neon-lit
fucked.
sign
They
a
get
welcome sight for
separated.
anyone seeking refuge. But
It's
on
like
entering,
every
not such a
bad thing that
welcoming
can happen
place.
happens.
There doesn't seem to be one single survivor here. With a need to find someone or something to find out what's happening here in Raccoon City, Leon sees an
Got it,
officer
but
on the
he has no
CCTV
clue.
monitor running away
At least all the other people have some idea. This dude has no clue what's going on.
from and shooting a zombie, saying that he's found a way out of there. Heading into the station's east wing, he greets this officer who is struggling to pry his way under a shutter. Leon attempts to help him and pull him through, but the zombies start to eat him alive. Leon can only watch as the officer, Elliot, screams and dies as he's torn apart. Picking up his notebook, it contains drawings of statues along with 3 holes where
Terrible
medallions
way to die. Biting you below the waist. Now you got zombie dick.
Leon makes his way back to the hallway but is set upon by a group of zombies and has to fight his way out of the east hallway. He too gets stuck under a shutter but is saved by
kick
Marvin
that thing.
Branner, who's still alive and kicking despite being bitten by Brad Vickers. Changing into his RPD uniform, Leon asks what started this outbreak, but Marvin has no clue, but warns Leon that it will eat him alive if he's not careful. Marvin, his lieutenant, tells him to find a way out of the station.
I like
Marvin
the way
Leon a
that
knife,
this...
telling him not to make the same mistake he did, and if he sees a zombie, uniform or not, to not hesitate. Walking down a hallway, Leon sees the...
They do a lot of different characters and develop them over multiple stories. It's pretty slick.
results of the carnage that Carlos witnessed only hours prior. He encounters more zombies, but Leon manages to make it to the west wing of the station. Having
Man, the zombies' tongue game is crazy. That thing is just shooting out.
Leon returns to Marvin, who directs his attention to a camera feed, and Claire is on it. She's on the east side of the station at the side gate, so he goes to see her. On the way to see Claire, Leon finds a pamphlet there which gives a bit of background on the building he's in. The police station actually used to be a museum, hence the strange decor in the layout, along with the large goddess statue in the main hall. But anyway, Claire can't wait.
The large goddess statue?
Down the hallway, Leon hears the sound of a chopper, but it inexplicably smashes into the police station, becoming a burning wreck, and the pilot is quite inevitably dead.
Leon
is able to speak with Claire, but unfortunately he does not have a key for the gate. With Leon reassuring Claire that
she be liking
Chris, the chopper explodes,
he did pull it when he saved her.
The dinner bell for the zombies, so Claire needs to get moving. Leon moves back inside the police station whilst Claire continues with her search for Chris. With Marvin deteriorating, Leon needs to get a move on. On the upper floors, he finds a note scrawled by an officer called David Ford. He mentions creepy infected, lickers, and as mentioned, they are blind as bats. And of course, Carlos got all too familiar with them during his own time here. Near to the STARS office, Leon encounters one himself. He starts his search for the 3 medallions needed to open the supposed passageway that Elliot had discovered. He manages to find them all, but on opening the secret entryway and telling Marvin about this, he seems to be showing signs of aggression. He says it's too late for him, but they can't let this thing spread and says it's all on Leon now. Taking an elevator down,
Leon finds himself you need to take his gun and blast him in the face.
Someone or something runs across the walkway above him, and it sounds pretty angry. Attempting to move a cabinet out of the way, this something drops down in front of him.
Whoa!
It's Birkin in his G-mutated form. Slamming Leon through the walkway, he falls into a...
Birkin, the doctor from the first one? The Golgotha version? I thought we smoked him in the last one.
Area, but
I guess no one stays dead.
He faces off against Birkin. After enough punishment has been inflicted on Birkin, he falls over the edge and down.
He had a giant eyeball in his shoulder.
Moving through the area, Leon finds a ladder and ascends, ending up in the RPD's parking garage, where he tries to get out by way of the entry gate, but it needs a key card. He is attacked by Cerberus, but is saved by someone, a mysterious woman who produces ID, and it says that she's FBI. She says she's surprised he made it this far, but says what's going on there is classified. She tells Leon to stop asking questions and to get himself the hell out of there. The woman then leaves.
Classified?
Leon tries to go after her, but she's disappeared, and he's now in a holding cell area in the parking garage. Zombified prisoners are inside the cells, but one cell holds a still alive and uninfected prisoner. This is Ben Bertolucci. He says that Chief Irons locked him in there. He doesn't have many nice things to say about old Irons, but of course, the only part of Irons Leon has seen is the man who parades himself about as a man of the people. Ben brings Leon up to speed. Irons was dirty, and that Irons was dirty as hell. A screech is heard from down the hallway,
dirty as
Ben
hell.
offers Leon a deal. His parking permit for the machine in exchange for help getting out of there. The noises get louder and Ben gets more frantic after Leon says that he'll speak to Chief Irons first. Backing towards the wall, a massive hand smashes through it, grabs Ben and kills him in a pretty gruesome way. Ada shows up again and she says that she told him to get out of there. She says that Ben here was an informant, that he had information of use to her investigation. She walks off again, much to Leon's frustration. He introduces himself as Leon, and she says her name is Ada. Given that Leon needs the permit currently attached to Ben's dead body, he needs to get power restored to the cells before he can get in to grab it.
Man, you better hope none of the other cells open.
A couple of custom power panel parts are needed in order to fix the power panel for the jail cells. One should be inside the generator room, and the other in the station's clock tower.
Everything's always broken.
To find the first panel part in the generator room. Using a crank to lift a shutter, Leon is now back inside the RPD on its east side, finding what remains of Elliot's lower half. In the main hall, Leon also finds that Marvin has not only died, but is now reanimated. Putting out the fire surrounding the crashed chopper, Leon is confronted by the T-103 Tyrant.
Well, they're tyrants. That's what they're called. I remember now. They're called tyrants. T-103, but this one's different than that one that was chasing Jill. I guess that's the earlier game. Because he's got a face and a hat.
The thing that killed Ben Bertolucci. As we've seen before, the T-103 is a highly intelligent BOW which pursues Leon throughout the RPD. Mr.
Highly
X,
intelligent.
Affectionately known. He also finds
Mr. X. He looks like a zombie agent from the Matrix. You blasted him right in the face. How are y'all doing in that drab old station, hanging in there against old irons? What we got up under her extra large umbrella?
Chris's letter to his fellow STARS members stating that he's in Europe and makes a few veiled nods to what he's doing, investigating Umbrella. Anyway, Leon manages to get access to the top floor area, previously inaccessible, and he finds the clock tower. Swapping some cogs around causes the clock tower to break, and this dislodges the second and final power panel box. Now to go back to the holding cells.
You gotta do all that to get the power panel
Installing
box.
the 2 panel pieces, Leon opens the cells and grabs the permit, and he finds a recording device on Ben. Playing the tape is a recording of a conversation between Ben and a woman. Ben was asking her about an orphanage and some rumors. Of course, we know that those rumors
Epstein
are children going
orphanage.
missing and not being rehomed.
Except you turn them into tyrants.
Experiments by Umbrella in an underground laboratory. The woman Ben was speaking to was Annette Birkin, William Birkin's wife. Leon also finds a note written by Ben telling him about the T-103 Tyrant, that it's likely that Umbrella sent it into Raccoon City to wipe out any remaining survivors. Witnesses to the atrocities carried out by Raccoon City to wipe out any the T-103 Tyrant. That it's likely that Umbrella sent it into Raccoon City to wipe out any remaining survivors. Witnesses to the atrocities carried out by Umbrella. With him now having gotten what he needed, Leon needs to get out of there. Unfortunately, him opening the cells is a double-edged sword, the other cells have opened too. Zombies pour out, and what's even worse is that Mr. X has joined the party. He busts through a wall, and Leon is grabbed by the Tyrant, and as he's being choked out, he is saved once again by Ada, who drives a truck directly into the Tyrant, crushing him against the wall.
He ain't done. I've seen how those things go. Oh, and she's fine from doing that.
Saving your ass, that's twice.
Well, I appreciate it.
I didn't realize you were keeping score.
Look, this isn't a game.
You're kidding me.
Nothing dies down here.
Boom. Boom. I mean, she's prepared.
I take it you have the key card.
Yeah, and this. I was hoping you could explain what's on it.
Maybe.
Hey, I hooked you up.
Right, hear it. Let's get out of here.
Leaving the parking garage, Leon and Ada emerge onto the street while she listens to Ben's tape and says that unfortunately,
how's she so
this is not
OP?
the intel she needed, which is information on who are the ones responsible for this mess. They find the road ahead, well, gone, so they head through Kendo's gun shop, where Jill had been the previous day. There are still a few bits and pieces in the store, so they grab what they can find to gear up, but they're confronted by Kendo, who is still there.
What's up,
Now we see
Kendo?
why Kendo didn't
Oh,
leave.
no.
He has a daughter there and she's infected. Ada says they need to terminate her before she turns completely. And he tells his daughter Emma to stay inside, but he hugs his daughter, shouting at Leon, demanding to know how all this happened. Emma calls for her mother, but it's clear from Kendo's response that his wife is dead, and that he's clearly having some trouble making a decision on what to do with his beloved daughter.
It'd be
Kendo
tough,
carries Emma
but it's
inside
over.
and tells both Leon and Ada to go.
She's
and to
gonna
give them
kill
some
him.
privacy. They both hear a single gunshot indicating that
Oh, he
Kendo
pulled-
ended his
he
daughter's
did it?
suffering. Leon is determined to find out what's happening here in order to stop whoever's behind it. But helping people like Robert Kendo and his daughter is the reason he joined the police force. The truth is that he, Leon, is an orphan, becoming one after his family was killed in a massacre. He was saved by a
No
lone
way.
officer, and inspired by this officer, he wanted to pay that forward by becoming that person himself. Anyway, Ada comes clean and tells Leon that her mission is to take down Umbrella's entire operation. Leon tells her to count him in. Whatever helps save the city. Ada asks Leon if he's heard of Umbrella.
I wonder if his orphanage is connected to all of the... I mean, of course it is probably Maybe that's why he's
Tells them
so
they're a
badass.
pharmaceutical company that are secretly making bioweapons. She tells them about the T-virus, and that is what's destroyed the people and by extension the city. Finding a way past the blocked road, they venture down into the sewers, and Ada tells Leon she is looking for Annette Birkin in order to bring her down. Leon is a bit
That bitch.
naive when Ada says that the sewers
Miss
lead to
Max
Umbrella's secret
Ghislaine.
laboratory, saying there's no way
Ghislaine.
Umbrella could do that without the authorities knowing. Ada simply responds, "Welcome to corporate America," that Umbrella has controlled Raccoon City for years. Short way into the sewers, the whole area shakes.
He's all up in the
violently.
sewers.
Unsure as to whether it was an earthquake, they are soon shocked to find that it wasn't. It's another of Umbrella's horrid experiments. Jumping down into the filthy sewer water, Leon comes
That thing
face to
was
face with a
enormous.
huge mutant reptile, having
It's
to
a-
run to escape it.
Oh my
Thankfully, he ends
god.
up chewing on a gas pipe, and shooting it, he's able to blow this ugly thing's head into 1,000 pieces.
That's
Continuing
dead.
on after a short elevator ride down, where Ada tells Leon Umbrella hope to
God,
sell
the
the
game's gonna
viruses
be
they
so
make,
intense.
Ada and Leon spot Annette, and Ada says they're there for the G virus. A little bit different to what she initially said she was there for. Annette has been observing a zombie corpse, stating that they don't have much time. She burns the corpse and runs off, shooting at Ada, and Leon jumps in front of her, catching a bullet for his troubles, and Annette is able to escape, shouting that they'll never get the G virus. Leon tells Ada to forget about him and stop Annette, and he passes out.
Damn.
Placing Leon somewhere he can rest, Ada gets on the radio and speaks to someone. She says that she is outside of the Umbrella facility and is in pursuit of Annette. She says that if the G virus is not on her, then it must be an Umbrella's nest facility. She says that once the G virus
She
is in
had
hand,
that
she'll
on
call for
under there?
extraction. And working her way through the rest of the sewers, Ada was able to find a note which mentions an ID wristband, and it's something that is crucial if she's to gain access to Nest itself. Using all manner of advanced
she's so
gadgetry,
mysterious.
Ada spots Annette, but her pursuit of her is quite rudely interrupted by
Oh.
Mr. X. Evading him, Ada comes out by the incinerators, and heading inside one to obtain one of these wristbands she read about, she is trapped in there by Annette, who turns it on and
Oh
leaves Ada to die.
shit.
Thankfully, Ada is able to use her EMF gun to bypass the locks and escape before she burns alive. Gaining access to the previously locked area, Ada goes after Annette again, but is foiled by her again, as she uses a crane to force
Man,
Ada
this
off
is-
the platform and into a disposal area, where she injures her leg and passes out.
Okay.
Not long after, Leon wakes up from his nap, wondering where Ada is. Having recuperated a little bit now, he moves into the sewers,
But he
where he
been
encounters
shot.
another type of monstrosity, one created by the Golgotha virus leaking into the
Oh.
sewer system here in Raccoon City.
Hand to
He
hand
also
with a
finds
knife on
remnants
that
of
thing.
Hunk's team that were hunted down and killed by G. Birkin, as well as emails from researchers in Nest that state that an outbreak had occurred there. Upon seeing an unconscious and
he gotta
injured
go
Ada
get her.
through a window, Leon solves a puzzle involving chess pieces in order to unlock the waste disposal area door. Trying to get the power restored
Chess
to the door Ada
pieces
is lying
to
behind,
open
he
the-
does it, but gets attacked by William Birkin, who forces him down a corridor where he has to face him again. Using a large cargo container on a crane,
These
Leon
guys
is able
never
to knock
die.
Birkin over the edge and into the depths again. With Birkin out of the way, Leon goes back to help Ada. She tells him that he should get out of there while he still can, but Leon refuses to leave her there. She says they need to get to Nest, the lab right beneath them. They find a cable car that can take them there, and thankfully, Ada
I can feel the tension. I'm stressed out. I'm almost sweating.
has the ID wristband that will get it moving. On the way down to Nest, Ada reminds Leon that this is a federal case, and once they get hold of the G virus, she and him are going to go their separate ways. Leon
Sure,
doesn't
girl.
like this, but she asks him to trust her. Leon flips that and asks if she trusts him. A fair question, since she's been nothing but mysterious. She says that she
Fair.
does trust him, as he is the last hope she's got of getting the G virus sample and bringing Umbrella to justice. She then kisses Leon, and they arrive at Nest.
Nah, she's some sort of spy. She playing him. She playing him. She's fine though.
She gives Leon the wristband and tells him to go as they don't have much time. Entering the facility, it's empty. There are a few zombified eggheads about. One of the dead zombies in the sleeping quarters has a higher
3
level clearance
headshots.
for Leon's wristband, so he snags that and uses it to access the east area. Stepping into this
Nice.
place is wild. It's a greenhouse, and it seems the plants are alive. The researcher currently pinned to the glass here has the next level of ID tag.
So you
for
gotta
Leon's
go into
wristband.
there?
So he
No,
heads into the
thank you.
greenhouse to try and work out how to get this plant to drop the poor guy. With most of the place
And of
overgrown
course
with
he's-
vines, Leon comes up against what Umbrella calls their ivy zombies. They were once regular human beings until they were infected by Plant 43 after they'd gotten infected by its seedlings. Plant 43 is the improved version of Plant 42, which Chris or Jill encountered in the dorms back near the mansion. Leon finds a
Ivy
note stating that
zombies?
the only real way to kill the ivy zombies is to burn them until they are black as
I do remember Plant 43 though. He gave her that stuff to kill it.
ash. Learning that Plant 43 can be killed, Leon needs to obtain a compound and then freeze it in order to kill it via dispersal. He finds the dispersal agent, freezes it, and disperses it, killing Plant 43, which releases the worker.
Again.
Grabbing the ID tag, Mr. X is back again, but Leon manages to escape to the central section of Nest.
Just run, but this dude's chasing forever.
The west area. Leon finds more of Hunk's squad here, dead, killed by Birkin.
He's like SCP-096.
Leon finds a sample of the G virus just sat there. Even Leon himself remarks how easy it was to get it. Leaving though, nothing is ever that simple, as during his trip back to Ada, G. Birkin decides to drop in, and Leon sees that he's mutated further since their last encounter.
More?
Annette runs in and shoots him with an anti-BOW agent, and this causes him to collapse. Leon asks why she's called the beast William, to which Annette responds that this is all Umbrella's mess, and Leon quite rightly tells her that she is Umbrella too. She says that they never meant for this to happen.
Bullshit.
She explains that William was shot by the Umbrella security services, and as a last-ditch effort to get back at Umbrella and hunt down Hunk and...
Bitch, you've been fucking trafficking kids into experiments. She dead evil and doesn't know it.
his men. He injected himself with the G virus, of course, meaning that he survived his fatal gunshot wounds by mutating into G. During Leon and Annette's chat, William grabs her and seriously wounds her, then mutating into what is his third stage. Leon is then lowered down by Annette into the area below, where he is forced to do battle with G once again. Blasting away at his weak spots, Leon is able to put him down again. Speaking with a dying Annette, she begs Leon to destroy the G sample. He says that he will not, as it's evidence, and that it's going to the FBI. She laughs, asking if Leon trusts Ada. Annette says that Ada is not FBI, but is instead a mercenary who is going to sell it to the highest bidder. Leon doesn't want to believe it, but Annette then dies. Going back to the central area, Leon
can't trust Ada.
I was just thinking about you.
Oh, you know.
Makes two of us. I was getting worried.
No, we make a good team. I gotta ask you something.
Way's clear.
Because you ain't scared of none of this shit.
You got it.
Oh, I got it.
Let me verify the G sample and we get the hell out of here.
Before we do that, I ran into Annette. She claims you're not FBI.
Because she ain't. We both know she ain't.
Why couldn't you just hand over the sample?
Perfect.
I realized, as much as I wanted to trust you,
Did you let him pull the gun back on you?
I really hoped it wouldn't end up like this.
so that's all this was. I was just some pawn to you,
Look,
Yep.
I'm just doing my job.
and I'm doing mine, so drop that damn gun! I'm taking you in.
Leon's got
Hand over the
morals
sample, Leon. I don't want to hurt you.
in a corrupted world. Ooh. Fuck.
And you shoot me. But I don't think you can.
Dang. I think she can shoot you. Who did that? There's no way she's alive. Oh no.
No one gets that sample now.
She gonna turn into something terrible. That's so crazy though. That's one thing that's a little weird. No one ever dies for sure. Especially with it's all zombie shit. Oh, fuck.
Forget it.
Shut up, I've got you.
It's not worth it.
Don't do this.
She ain't gonna die. She gonna get the goddamn G sample.
Take care of yourself, Leon.
No!
So, a little bit about Ada.
Oh,
Remember back in
man.
the Arkley laboratory that John Clemens, the guy put in charge of T-virus research after Birkin left to work on Golgotha, wrote to his girlfriend asking her not to let them, Umbrella, get away with this. Well, this is John Clemens, Ada. This is her investigating what happened. She actually worked there at the laboratory and she had managed to escape during the outbreak in the Arklay labs. Truth is that she was actually working for one of Umbrella's rival companies and was, I guess you could say, a double agent, and was obtaining classified information for her employers. Who approached her for this role? Well, it was none other than Albert Wesker, who had been given a job with Umbrella's rival organization, despite him not delivering to them what he'd promised. So instead, he'd promised them that he'd get the G-Virus. Back to Leon. With the Nest facility crumbling around him, Leon needs to get a move on. On one of the monitors, he sees Claire. Leon tries to speak with her and she says she's found a way out, but the
What's up,
transmission
Claire?
dies. She also said we found a way out, but who is we? Well, let's take a short break and look at what Claire got up to after leaving Leon at the gate.
Man, there's stuff happening
At some
all
point,
over the
Claire
place.
came across a terrified young girl, Sherry. Now, young Sherry here is William and Annette's only daughter. When the outbreak kicked off big time,
What have they done
Sherry
to
was
her?
instructed by her mother to stay at their home, but she got scared and left, going to the RPD because, as you'll recall, it was being used as a centre for refuge. When the situation got bad there, Sherry had hidden around the police station. Now, this is very important. Due to the nature of the G-Virus, William, who had injected himself, was trying to find a suitable host in order to implant the G embryos into, and he needed a perfect match. This match was Sherry. At one point, shortly after meeting Claire, Sherry was taken by Chief Irons to the orphanage and locked in a room, but she managed to escape the room and witnessed Irons practicing
This
his
is
evil hobby
so
of kidnapping
twisted.
and killing young women.
They be doing
This
it
is
to their
Mayor Warren's
kids.
daughter, Catherine. Anyway, Sherry injured Irons and he is eventually
Hell
killed by
yeah.
Birkin whilst he's attacking Sherry.
Oh,
It's at this point
nice.
that Claire reunites with her, and they are chased into the sewers by Mr. X, who is torn apart
All
by
this
Birkin.
happened.
The elevator crashes to the bottom of the shaft,
Dang.
and Claire was knocked out. Waking up, she saw Annette standing there, muttering observations about her G-husband. She said that Sherry was safe somewhere else. Claire later saw Sherry through a window and managed to rescue her, but found her to have been infected by her father. They then both took the cable car down to Nest, and Claire went to find a cure for Sherry by way of an antiviral agent kept there called Devil. Finding it, she returned to Sherry and gave the antiviral
I don't like
to her.
it
They
named
then escaped
Devil.
down into the bottom of Nest, where they came across a train car.
Everything's
and that leads us
evil.
to this point, where Leon sees Claire on the monitor. Whilst Leon is fighting his way out and fighting a still-alive Mr. X, Claire is fighting, a
Wait.
still-alive Birkin, and defeats him. They manage to leave Nest using
Nah,
the tunnels,
man.
and Leon is able to join them on
Gotta
board.
hit the real
But
double
this
taps
joyful
on
reunion
this.
is interrupted by Birkin. Needing to get rid of him before he devours the train cars,
Dude,
Claire goes and deals
and that's
with
your
him.
dad, girl.
Eventually, with Claire
No,
in danger of being
Claire.
eaten alive, Leon's quick thinking sees him decouple the train car with Birkin on it, and using a steel pipe, Claire rams it through his eye, and they speed away as Birkin is engulfed by flames from Nest self-destructing. Back outside again, Leon,
No
Claire,
guarantee
and
that
Sherry
dude's
leave Raccoon
dead.
City behind and walk away, happy that they survived the incident. Ada also
There's
survived,
no
but was
way.
badly injured. She had managed to get the sample of the G-Virus for Wesker and their employer, managing to escape the city.
She
Back
did.
to Jill and her predicament.
Oh my god.
With Carlos having
It's
taken
been
Jill to the
going
Spencer
down.
Memorial Hospital, he places her.
It's been going down. All right, recap the story. So that's why they jumped to 2. That he does everything there. That's the day before. So I still can't believe Ada lived. But you don't kill good characters. It's not smart to.
Onto a gurney. His hope is that Dr. Bard will be able to save her with the vaccine he was talking about. He finds
Need
the
a
entrance to
vaccine?
Dr. Bard's lab, but it's got a voice lock on it. Carlos finds a recorder on a nearby desk, but he just needs something with Bard's voice on it. Bard's warning about there being abominations at the hospital
Bob.
is no joke, and Carlos has to deal with
Can't
not
be
only
missing
zombies,
shots.
but also hunters as well. Dealing with them, he's able to find a suitable tape recording containing Bard's
Those
voice.
are hunters. They're
Taking
the
it back to the lab,
lizards.
he uses the tape and is allowed entry, but he finds Bard there, dead, by a single gunshot wound to the head. Judging from a blood-stained note there, it seems that Dr. Bard was in contact with many of the Raccoon City elite, and even United States senators, and regularly enjoyed banquets and other treats, likely all at taxpayers' expense. It's revealed that one
Treats.
particular senator, a Greg Tester, was accepting cash bribes from Umbrella in exchange for introducing their drugs onto the market. Anyway,
Dang.
checking a computer there for where the vaccine could be, all Carlos finds are emails from Bard to Senator Tester, and these show his concern for how quick the virus was spreading and that even Senator Tester himself won't be safe from it once it covers the whole country. He says that Tester has always been a good friend to him, so he offered him the only dose of the vaccine he had left.
Oh my
Bard didn't
god.
want to give it to any of his family members as he believed that the senator was the future of the United States. This was Bard essentially trying to find a way out of the city
I see.
and away from Umbrella, and offered the vaccine in exchange.
He's the one
for
who
it.
called him
He
down.
wanted the senator to send in a team to retrieve him from the hospital, but of course this team would never come. He also finds a video recording of Bard, who starts to talk about bringing the truth to light and his hope of restoring some honor to his name. He talks about the release of the T-virus into Raccoon City, a bioweapon, and that Umbrella are the ones responsible for it, and ordered Bard's team to create
They
the
did that
vaccine
on
for
purpose,
it,
right?
which they store underground. However, the Umbrella board want the vaccine destroyed and are trying to cover up any and all evidence that a T-virus ever existed. This is all news to Carlos. What Jill said to him earlier about Umbrella being responsible makes a whole lot of sense now, and Jill trusted Carlos anyway. He punches the screen in anger, hoping the vaccine that Bard had offered to the senator is still there. He's in luck. He grabs it and returns to Jill, administering the vaccine to her, and all he can do now is wait. A short while later, Tyrell shows up, and he's injured. He's okay, but he turns on the TV, and they both listen.
Attention all citizens. The contagion spreading throughout the city has been designated uncontainable. On October 1st, Raccoon City will be completely destroyed in a missile strike. All residents capable of rational thought are urged to evacuate immediately. This is not a test. Attention all citizens.
I mean, that's only a day away. There's still people in the city. You think Uncle Sam gives a shit?
They're about to nuke this thing.
Here they come.
Man,
You sit tight.
the zombie apocalypse, you might have
With the
to.
infected and many of Umbrella's nasty BOWs trying to get inside the hospital, Tyrell works to close the shutters from inside the safe room, whilst Carlos kills all the zombies that get inside. After dealing with them
You better
all
have a
using
lot of ammo.
explosives to destroy a pillar there, blocking
You're
the way in,
spraying
zombies are
dudes.
kept at bay for now. So Carlos checks on Tyrell and Jill. He says that the vaccine seems like the real deal, as Jill looks like she's improving. Carlos tells Tyrell to tell the government that they found a cure, and to try and stall for time, as he's going to go and find the vaccine that Bard said was kept underground. With Jill waking up
Smart.
now after suffering another nightmare, this time of an infected Carlos attacking her, she hears the TV report, or warning, that Raccoon City will be
God, her
sterilized in the
dreams.
next few
Is it gonna
hours.
come true?
Leaving the room
Is
and
Carla
speaking with
done with?
Tyrell, who told her that Carlos carried her to the hospital and cured her through the use of a vaccine, she feels she has to return the favor and to help him find it. Jill, like Carlos did, discovers that Umbrella, who had funded the construction of this hospital through the Spencer Foundation, had built it to connect to their Nest 2 facility. This is a facility which,
Oh.
unlike the other Nest facility where Leon, Claire and Sherry just were, is dedicated towards the creation of fail-safes, should any viruses leak or any BOWs get a bit too boisterous. Some nurses and staff were
I
pretty
see.
intrigued as to what was behind the forbidden door in the reception area of the hospital. People would show up to collect deceased patients, and not the usual mortuary guys either, and they would take them through the forbidden door. They called this process special handling to prevent the spread of the illness.
Forbidden door.
Taking an elevator down, Jill comes across that arsehole Nikolai, who sets another mutation on her, this one being called a palehead. They grow back and restore any damage done to them at an incredible rate. And it
Oh,
requires an
great.
extraordinary amount of firepower to be able to kill them. The storage area also houses some of the Hunter Gammas as well.
Oh
After
my
finding a bunch of
goodness.
fuses, Jill goes up to confront
Bruh.
Nikolai, but he's not there. He
Jill's
left
got
an email on
everything
the
coming
screen,
at it.
and it details his observation.
They be hoeing the girls extra. Rebecca got it bad. Jill's getting it bad. Ada got it bad. The daughter, the wife, Redfield's sister.
Regarding Jill and Carlos, and also betraying his squad by leading them into an ambush just so he could get the combat data. He mentions that the bioweapon that has been pursuing Jill, being consistent with something he refers to as Project N. He's been collecting all the combat data
Project
by
N.
watching Jill fight Umbrella's bioweapon. But for who? Tyrell shows up, and although in a great deal of pain and exhausted, he's made of tough stuff. He says he's made contact with the government and they're willing to negotiate. They'll call off the strike if they deliver the vaccine to them before they launch. With only hours to spare, they need to get going, but a short ways down the corridor, Jill's old foe shows up again and kills Tyrell. She tries her best to
He's dead.
save him, but he's done for.
He
she
dead.
makes a run for it, managing
He
to get
dead.
to safety. Now in Nest 2, Jill finds the vaccine synthesis
Them
machine
monsters
that needs
again
two
so
compounds in order
serious.
to create
They never go down.
a usable vaccine base. Moving through the facility, encountering more zombies, paleheads, and hunters, along with seeing some of the tyrants inside their containment
Oh no. And they're cooking more up.
pods, Jill is able to obtain both samples, the antigen and the adjuvant. She also comes across some very
Okay.
interesting information about
Vaccine.
her friend, the bioweapon. You'll recall that the T-002 tyrant was destroyed
Got
by
blasted.
STARS during the Mansion incident. Workers at Umbrella began work on a new model. The T-103 was developed, which, as we saw, served as bodyguards for Colonel Vladimir, and which fought Wesker in the training school.
Who
These
Wesker
tyrants
took
had the
down.
quality Umbrella were hoping for, which was human-like intelligence. the same tyrant that was pursuing Leon and Claire, but onto Project Nemesis. The
Man, it
project
got a
was
creepy
actually
face.
built around the parasite itself, to create a parasitic organism that could take complete control of a BOW. Remember, this is the same parasite that Birkin had introduced to Lisa
They
Trevor.
made two different
So they
things and
implanted
put
the
them
Nemesis
together.
alpha parasite into the T-103. The T-103, unlike previous Tyrant models, was a perfect host for the Nemesis alpha parasite, as it resulted in the Nemesis T-type. It seems that Nikolai
Nemesis.
thinking the bioweapon was connected to Project N
Oh
was
my
spot on,
God.
as this bioweapon was a product from Umbrella's European labs. Dr. Bard would write to the Umbrella researchers in Umbrella Europe's 6th laboratory, offering his congratulations, but he did state his concern over parasitic infections, stating that viruses can be kept in check by way of vaccines and parasites cannot. Bard cited the struggle to find a vaccine for parasitic infections such as malaria, as infections like malaria are far more complex than the T-virus. Nonetheless, Umbrella shipped old Nemi over to Raccoon City on the 1st of September 1998. Anyway, Jill needs to crack on and create this vaccine, so mixing the two
Gosh. I'm like drinking from a fire hose. The store's going so fast.
compounds together, she uses the synthesis machine to synthesize the vaccine.
Okay.
It's over. She can go and find Carlos and can leave now, right? Wrong. Nemesis shows up again and grabs her, throwing her, and she tries to escape using a vent. But her progress is halted by Nemesis. She's able to get away from it via a small lift, and this takes her to an area that's a biohazard disposal facility, which houses some large acid vats.
You gotta
Nemesis
drop that
bursts
thing in
through
there.
the wall, very angry, and destroys the stairs she is on. She drops the vaccine she grafted to
No.
obtain, and who should show up to steal it? Nikolai, who's claiming he needs this vaccine more than she does. He says he's in this business to get paid, so he tells Jill that if she puts on a good show against Nemesis, he can get the combat data and he'll give her the vaccine back. Pit, where she once again has to face off against this pain in the arse. Putting on a good show for that tosser Nikolai, Jill uses the electrical boxes on the acid vats to shock Nemesis and deal some damage to it. Delivering a fair bit of punishment, Carlos shows up and helps Jill out by knocking the thing for 6 with the crane. He then floods the pit with acid, causing Nemesis to writhe about in agony, and much to the delight of Jill, it dissolves and sinks into the acid bath.
Finally
Going
dead.
after Nikolai and the vaccine, surprise, surprise, he's not willing to part with it, telling Jill that this should be an ongoing arrangement, as her combat skills are essentially a money print to him. Something causes a violent disruption where they are stood, and Jill falls down into a large open area, but it can't be Nemesis, can it? Well, it
can't
can,
be.
actually, as Nemesis is now mutated into a huge gross biomass. Still intent on bringing Jill down, Nikolai looks on and marvels at what Umbrella created, no doubt dreaming of all the money he can make. He says the city is about to be gone, so he runs off with the vaccine, preferring to try and save his own life.
You gotta
rather than
smoke
obtain
that
the
guy.
combat data. Jill tells Carlos
you
to go
jacked
after him
her.
and get the vaccine. Destroying pustules on what is now stage 4 Nemesis, Jill grabs a massive railgun, shoves it into Nemesis's dirty mouth and pulls the trigger, reducing most of this disgusting mess of a bioweapon into a fine red paste. Catching up with Carlos after riding an elevator
Man,
up to the
he
roof,
dissolved
finds him lying
before.
on the helipad. Nikolai then attacks Jill and throws the vaccine down next to her, but then shoots it, destroying any chance humanity had at stopping the T-virus without completely destroying the city. He
He's
reveals that his
evil
client
as
told him
fuck.
to reduce Umbrella to rubble. That's what he's being paid for. That's all he cares about. With 10 minutes until the missiles hit Raccoon City, Nikolai takes that as his cue to leave, but just as he's about to shoot Jill, Carlos comes to her rescue and fights him. He is grabbed by Nikolai, but Jill is able to shoot him in the leg. Carlos is hurt, but okay.
Shoot
Jill
that
demands
dude
to
in
know
the
who Nikolai
face.
was working for, but he refuses to tell her unless she gets him out of there.
Nope.
That he'll pay her whatever she wants.
Nope.
Unfortunately for him, he has a pretty terrible track record when it comes to trust, and Jill isn't really bothered about making a fortune.
Blast him in the
After
face.
telling him she does not mind a little detective work, she and Carlos take the chopper and leave Nikolai stranded there on the roof. He laughs as he accepts the inevitable. Injured and left on a rooftop.
Hell yeah.
He's screwed.
He looks like
With Carlos
Brian
and
from
Jill now having
Tekken.
left the city, she spots a missile fly past the chopper, headed for the city. Raccoon City is then
Boom.
destroyed by a thermobaric bomb, fired by the US government. The shockwave from the blast disrupts the chopper, but Carlos is able to bring it back under control. A short
I'm
while later,
surprised you
Jill
made
picks
it.
up a broken vaccine canister, indicating that she's getting to work in finding information she can use to expose Umbrella. But what of Leon and Sherry? Well, Leon took care of Sherry until they got caught by the United States military.
Is that the end of
She
the
had
game 3?
G-virus antibodies, The military wished to research the poor girl, and Leon was interrogated by a US government official by the name of Adam Benford. Leon knew quite a lot of information that the US government would very much like to keep hush-hush, so thanks to his skill, he was forced into working for the government. The trade-off for this was that Sherry would be safe, from Wesker mainly, as he wanted the G-virus antibodies inside her and Leon would, get to live. He would receive specialist training, basically turning him into an agent working for an agency that was anti-Umbrella and that was under the control of the president and was part of United States Strategic Command, or US Stratcom for short. As for Oswell E. Spencer, with Umbrella operations still going on over in Africa and word that links would be made between Umbrella and the progenitor virus, Spencer shut down operations in Africa and had researchers there, including Brandon Bailey, killed, although it's not clear as to whether or not Bailey had been killed. He did this so he could build anew, using the progenitor virus again. Before his death, Bailey wrote about feeling indifferent when he'd heard about the destruction of both the Arkley laboratory and Raccoon City. He writes that he stopped caring about things the day he'd learned that James Marcus died, since James Marcus was his teacher. All Bailey was there doing was sending out samples of progenitor to his Umbrella colleagues all around the world. He didn't care that the research center in Africa had been shut. But now let's move on over to a small Umbrella-controlled island called Sheena Island. So Sheena Island was another location where an outbreak had occurred. Sometime in early November, not long after the destruction of Raccoon City, a researcher of Umbrellas is hanging from a chopper, saying that whoever is flying it is not going to get away. The man falls from the chopper and the chopper itself crashes. And the man flying the chopper is okay, miraculously, but stands up with absolutely no memory of who.
Do I need all of this?
Armed with a gun, he approaches the man who fell from the chopper.
This is
he says
old,
the man looks familiar, but he can't recall who he is. The man's holding dog tags which bear the name Ark Thompson. The man turns around and finds that he's being approached by a zombie, so he shoots it and puts it down. Moving through various buildings on the island, the man heads into a church and finds a diary that belongs to the church manager. He writes that a week after the destruction of Raccoon City, the leaders of each section of the city island sat down to discuss it. They made sure that the blame for what happened in Raccoon City was placed entirely on the head of William Birkin, as he betrayed Umbrella. The commander of the city had told the section leaders that if they have any traitors like Birkin in the city, then they should execute them immediately and without question. The commander told them that the city is even more important to Umbrella as Raccoon City was. The church manager writes that they can't allow a biohazard containment leak to happen in the city, as that would essentially waste the money that Umbrella was poured into acquiring the island, as well as establishing these expensive facilities.
Resident Evil Survivor on.
Fighting his way through the street, the man hears a phone ringing. The person on the phone speaks and says the name Vincent. The man assumes he must be called Vincent, and the person on the phone called Vincent a murderer and hangs up. Vincent heads into an arcade, and once inside, a pair of helicopters show up and drop off some agents from Umbrella's Undertaker unit. Essentially considered cleaners, this unit are BOWs themselves and go and clean areas, removing any evidence of Umbrella involvement. This unit enters the arcade and tries to take out Vincent, but they're quite easy to kill. In the back room, Vincent is then spotted by the man who's on the phone, who sees him through the window telling him to die. Vincent takes cover and the man leaves. Vincent then heads down
2000
into a side room here, Vincent finds a diary written by the janitor
for PlayStation.
Before everything went to pot in Raccoon City on September 6th, Andy writes about how someone by the name of Vincent would become the city's supreme commander, an elite sent by Umbrella HQ. Vincent was considered a cold and callous man. On September 20th, Andy would write about a rumor he'd heard that Vincent had ordered the staff at Umbrella's research facility to conduct experiments on children who had been kidnapped from all over the world. But Andy didn't really want to get involved. 10 days after the destruction of Raccoon City, Andy wrote about a terrible accident happening on the surface. He didn't know the details, but he heard that Commander Vincent had done something extremely cruel. Then on November 9th, Commander Vincent went down to the sewers to carry out an inspection, and Andy writes how he saw cruelty in it. Andy thought this was a good time to take a photo of the guy, and Vincent became angry. Vincent picks up the photo Andy wrote about, and sure enough, it's him. I guess there's no doubt that he is indeed Vincent. He doesn't like it given all the bad stuff he's heard and read about.
I'm gonna skip this one.
And that what's going on this island is all his fault. A young boy enters the room begging Vincent not to kill him. He says something strange before running off. They didn't know anything about him back then. With no other leads to follow other than going after the young lad, Vincent heads back up to street level and emerges in front of Paradise, which despite the name is actually a prison complex where the children would be held prior to being used in experiments. This place too is populated by...
Let's code Veronica.
After Edward Ashford had died, killed by Oswald Spencer, remember, his son Alexander took over as head of the family. The next year in 1969, Alexander constructed a base in Antarctica and continued with what he'd been working on prior to his father's death, something called the Code Veronica Project, named after Veronica Ashford, a former noblewoman and the founder of the Ashford family. The purpose of this project was to resurrect Veronica Ashford, attempting to combine Veronica's DNA with the gene Alexander had discovered that could increase intelligence, along with his own DNA. A breakthrough of sorts was achieved in 1971. Twins were birthed, with them being named Alfred and Alexia Ashford. Only Alexia operated on a genius-level intellect, whereas Alfred was considered a failure as he was only slightly above normal intelligence. These were clones, if you like, of Veronica Ashford. The aim was to restore the reputation of the Ashford family, since many people thought that the Ashford family line had been cursed ever since Edward Ashford helped found Umbrella. It also had the secondary aim of preventing
it's bridging some of the gap before 4.
Umbrella should something happen to Edward Ashford, which of course had happened at the time Alexander was first working on Code Veronica. Alexander became concerned about the public finding out how these twins were created, and not only that, but that these two were also quite sadistic, showing absolutely no regard for human life. Turns out that when the pair were 12 years of age, whilst at the Antarctica base, Alfred had come across an entrance to a secret room which was locked and needed specific gemstones in order to open it. Alfred had managed to get 2 of them, and using the final one from Alexia's necklace, they opened the room up and discovered how they came to be. They grew to hate their father as a result. At some point, it's said that Alexia Ashford died at a young age. But that's enough backstory for now. Back to the present day. After the Raccoon City incident, Claire Redfield had travelled to Paris, Europe, to search for her brother. Her investigations had led her to one of
She still
Umbrella's
hadn't
European
found him.
labs, but upon breaking inside, she was caught by Umbrella security services and taken to an island called Rockford Island, where she is knocked out by a guard. Waking up later in a cell, the whole area begins to start. Unfortunately, that they never return from there. This prisoner Claire finds the secretary is now stuck. So after
I
messing
think
with different
I'll
swords,
recap this.
from the
We'll just go
platform
through
to the
this.
wall, telling her she could still
I want to
the
stick
gate
to
in
the
front of
mainline
her,
games.
but from the plane unscathed, best to avoid his poison cave system. Comes across Rodrigo. Chris mentions Claire, and Rodrigo said,
See, Chris. Wesker?
Fucking Wesker. Goddamn evil Morpheus.
Alive? What are you doing here?
I came for Alexia.
Who?
An organization hired me to capture her.
Wait, you attacked the island. And my sister.
Get him, Chris. Oh my god, and he's super speeded.
You have no idea how much I hate you. You destroyed my plans. So now I've sold my soul to a new organization.
What the fuck?
Now die.
He openly admits selling his soul.
Here's a little secret, Chris. I figured out that your sister is now in the Antarctic with Alexia. It's too bad you won't be seeing her again.
He's rage baiting. He's rage baiting you, Chris.
Alexia?
Oh no.
Fighting the BOW in the room with him, and now with the knowledge that Claire is actually in the Antarctic, Chris takes control of one of the jets at the base and uses it to fly to the base where Claire and Steve are being held.
Frickin'
Sometime
Harrier.
later, Chris arrives at the Antarctic base. Thanks to Alexia having been woken up, there are now tentacles all over the base. And because part of the base is busted, some of the areas in the base are frozen over too. Chris spots one of Wesker's hunter summoning surveillance drones, which means that he is here too,
He
doing
can
his best to avoid
summon
these drones.
hunters
Chris
with
comes
it.
across a replica of the Spencer mansion. He finds Claire in here, pinned to the wall and passed out. Freeing her and waking her up, she is pleased to see Chris. He suggests they leave, but she says that they need to find Steve first. Claire he administers the serum and she recovers. Wesker is there and has confronted Alexia. He demands that she go with him, as of course he and his employers want the T. Veronica virus, and the last sample is in her body. She responds Wesker is not worthy of its power, and approaching him she bursts into flame, and this is evidence that she has indeed become one with the virus, harnessing its true power, with her having discarded her skin and hair. Wesker discovers upon
She can
fighting
just
her
go
that she's
flame
impossible
mode?
to hurt in this form, so he abandons the fight, leaving Chris to do battle with her. She utilizes her own blood, which catches fire on the ground. But thankfully Chris is able to get the upper hand, and thus defeats her in battle.
Barely.
He
He's
picks up the
pinned in
choker
the
that she dropped
corner.
when she transforms, and this detaches, producing a red jewel, which is able to place into the portrait at the top of the stairs.
That's how
along
the
with
hell they
jewel
get out.
that he obtained from Nosferatu's. Going to tells Claire that he will deal with Alexia, but when Claire tries to leave, Alexia blocks her. And since she is pretty weak from their fight beforehand, the T. Veronica virus forces her transformation into a large biomass. Almost looks like an anthill, but let's dive into that a bit. Upon studying the queen ant and finding the ancient virus in its genes, Alexia discovered that in each anthill is one queen. The soldiers and workers are the queen's slaves, dedicating their lives to this queen. The queen dying dooms the entire anthill, but soldiers and workers can be replaced. And this is how Alexia saw the masses, as she puts her, and badly damaged. Wesker and Chris then fight, but due to Wesker's new power and strength, Chris is easily overwhelmed by him. Seeing and taking his opportunity to hurt Wesker, Chris releases some steel beams from above them, and they fall on him. He gets up and delivers a wry smile. An explosion ends up with fire separating them, and it burns Wesker's face. He tells Chris this is his lucky day, and Chris goes to meet up with Claire, with the two escaping with the fighter jet. Chris says it's not over yet, but there's still something they've got to do.
They're still wearing a stars
to
thing.
destroy Umbrella. And that concludes part 1 of this Resident Evil storyline series. It's mad to think everything we've spoken about in this video, from Resident Evil 0 up until Code Veronica, took place over the course of just 5 months. Now, part 2 of the series will be out next week.
And the first one was just a couple days.
2002 all the way to 2013. So make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon so you don't miss that video dropping. Leave a comment below with your favourite game from this video and who you think would win in a fight between the T-103 and...
Okay, part 2.
Welcome to part 2 of the Resident Evil story series.
Let me just see this. What are we dealing with? What are we dealing with? Raccoon Trials, Dead Aim, Umbrella's End, Resident Evil 4 might be where I start. What is Umbrella's End? Dang. Okay. Oh, and he covers some of the movies in this. I might skip those also. It's Revelations.
In 2005, the BSAA had gotten word that Il Viltro were back. Finding our next objective to spread the virus.
Okay. Either way, we got this done for now.
Welcome to part 2 of the Resident Evil story series. Now, the last one was a wild ride, as we covered Umbrella's origins all the way through to Resident Evil Code Veronica. We covered a lot in the last video. If you didn't catch that one, then the link to it is up there. Anyway, in this video, we'll be covering the years 2002 all the way through to 2013. And that's 8 games, their respective DLCs, and a couple of the CGI movies too. So yeah, got a lot to cover here. I won't waffle on too much as I want to get straight into it, but don't worry, I'll be providing context for certain situations where relevant. As mentioned in the last video as well, the lore for this franchise is so vast that there will be things I'll skip over and not talk about, but these will only really be minor points that won't affect the narrative. These include things such as comics, manga, and maybe certain parts of the Umbrella Chronicles. But let's jump back in again. We need to start by focusing on the fallout when it came to Umbrella and a very important public trial. After Raccoon City's destruction and its subsequent sterilization by the US government, wiping out 100,000, heads needed to roll. I mean, the sterilization served a secondary purpose too, and that was to remove any evidence of the US government's own ties to Umbrella. US Congress would start by passing a decree that the government would suspend any activity or trade with Umbrella, so Umbrella sued the US government. The president eventually resigned as public scrutiny was rising in regard to his handling of this horrific event, and many actually put those 100,000 deaths on the government and the thermobaric bombing of the city rather than the actions and carelessness of Umbrella themselves. Many people thought this stunk of a cover-up. A journalist called Alyssa Ashcroft, who herself was caught up in the chaos of the Raccoon City outbreak, wrote an expose on Umbrella, and her article was titled, "What is a BOW? Raccoon City's Relation." Browser up to speed, he and Leon W's product her organs until he regains his personality and injures Morpheus. Entering the ship and making his way through it, fighting through the undead in here, he makes contact with his government, who tell him they... So after the Mansion and Raccoon City incidents, and with the trial still going on, Umbrella would be dealt another swift blow. Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine had founded an...
Okay. I'm gonna cover some of that, but in a different way. All right.